Moin! Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about drinking. Yes, alcoholic intake, legal limits, and one weird tradition. Shout out to Rubas for the video. Let's get into it. Let's have a discussion. I would like to see how much y'all drink. When did you first drink? When did you first start drinking? What age group were you? I think I was probably in high school. Maybe around 15 years old, something like that. I honestly, I'm not sure. I've definitely, when I was a bit younger, had my share of drinking too much. I think drinking culture, at least where I grew up, could be quite raucous. It could be quite over the top and just too much. Like, certainly there was that element of, all right, let's drink to get drunk, and like partying sort of mentality. And all of that said, they were always really, really friendly, wonderful parties and times that we've had. And then even still, like every once in a while, I'll have maybe one too many, you could say. But the last few years, I barely drink at all. It just doesn't interest me so much anymore, for whatever reason. But let's get into this. Drinking in Germany, legal limits, and the one weird tradition by Ruba. Let's go.
As carnival season approaches its climax, or depending on when you see this video,
in 2025.
Oktoberfest is just around the corner, or some festival is just coming up. A lot of Germans will want to drink a lot of alcohol, and a lot of visitors to Germany will want to join in. And so, here is a quick overview of drinking laws in Germany. If you're from a country like the US or Pakistan, where the minimum drinking age is quite high, you'll have to get...
Yeah, like the US is 21. In Canada, it's 19. The drinking age being 21 in the US it's kind of wild, though, because you can do so many other things when you're 18. I don't know, it should probably just be 18, in my opinion. Especially if you can go and join the army or the military or the police or like whatever it is. Like, you can join all of these organizations, institutions, and you can take part in all of these societal expectations, but you can't get a beer at the bar, like, right?
Used to the sight of younger people drinking in public. If you are young yourself, you might be tempted to really go for it, but just hold your horses, because Germany is not a free-for-all. There are two different kinds of alcoholic drink for the purposes of this law. Beer and wine in one category, and spirits in another. Or, to put it another way, fermented and distilled. The law applies in public places, bars, restaurants, and so on.
So is it like public places and stuff, you can drink beer but not spirits? And let's not get it twisted. There's a big old difference between beers and spirits. Oh, sure, daddy, there is. Huge difference, I'm telling you right now. You drink a bottle of vodka, you drink a bottle of whiskey, you might be down on your butt in 20 minutes. But on the same token, you could have a 12-pack of beer, make that stretch throughout the day, and you're going to be right as rain, baby.
What you do in your own home is usually your own business, although if you gave alcohol to a baby and the authorities got wind of it, I think it's safe to say that they might step in. If you're over 18...
I would hope so. I would hope child services would step in if somebody was giving beer to a baby. Babies don't drink beer. Gosh.
You're fine, you can drink whatever you like. If you're under 14, you're not allowed to drink any alcohol in public at all. You're not allowed to buy alcohol, and nobody is allowed to give you any. Beer and wine are less potent than spirits, and so the legal age is lower. If you're over 16, you can have beer and wine without any problem at all. If you're in the company of a legal guardian, you can...
So I didn't really say... He said under 14 you can't. What's the drinking age for teens in public then, from ages 14 to 16?
You any. Beer and wine are less potent than spirits, and so the legal age is lower. If you're over 16, you can have beer and wine without any problem at all. If you're in the company of a legal guardian, you can even have beer and wine at 14. But spirits are absolutely taboo until you're 18. The logic of that is that it is very difficult to drink enough beer or...
Yeah, it's certainly a different culture. Like, I could see some parents here, or people in general, having a conniption fit if there was a 14-year-old drinking beer. Like, honestly, people would be losing their minds in Canada. Which is, I think it speaks more so to a cultural thing where alcohol is viewed differently in Europe, in Germany. It's not something that's built up this reputation within society of being abused, whereas I think in North America, Canada, the United States, and other countries as well, but alcohol can be abused, right, as a substance. So people kind of will not look they'll not look positively upon a 14-year-old drinking beer. But in the setting of Germany, in the context, it makes sense. But in the context here, I could see people just losing their minds, man. Holy.
Or wine to kill you. Before that happens, you're far more likely to pass out or throw up. Drink driving laws are a bit more complicated. In Germany, the blood alcohol concentration is measured using a slightly different method than in some other countries.
Is it 0.08 there?
And is given in per mil. 1 per mil is equivalent to 0.1%. If you're under 21 or you passed your test less than 2 years ago, the limit is 0. And the fine is at least €250. Otherwise, there is a limit of 0.3 per mil, and that's not much. An average person can reach that limit after just one small beer. Between 0.3 and 0.5, you're fine unless you're driving dangerously or cause an accident. If that happens, then the alcohol in your blood will count against you. At 0.5 per mil or higher, the fine is €500 for the first offence, €1,000 for the second offence, and €1,500 for every subsequent offence. You can
honestly just take their license away at that point if they're causing accidents while intoxicated, even to a slighter degree. I'm not sure how to gauge these measurements, how they measure the alcohol content in the blood or in the person in these measurements that Rubos is giving. I know, like, we have the blood alcohol content level, blood alcohol content, which it's usually listed as 0.08. How that math actually applies, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that you can't go over 0.08, which is usually, for a bigger guy like me, I'd probably have to drink over two normal beers, I think, would put me right around like 0.6, maybe 0.06, 0.07. I'm not sure. This would be something fun to test, actually. When I was working for the police, there was times where we were doing training and we were at a training complex, and there was a group of officers and they were drinking. So what they were doing is they were doing a training on blood alcohol content and how it affects individuals, and they did it very specifically, and the methodology was very specific. So they would have different officers at different heights and different weights, and then they would track exactly how much everybody's drinking. So they had like a set of officers that were sober, right? And it would be the ones conducting the tests. And then they would switch off and do the training like that. But so one set of officers was conducting the blood alcohol content tests, and the other officer was just getting drunk, pretty much. But they were kind of just seeing over the beers that they were drinking, 1 beer, 2 beer, 3 beer, how intoxicated they were becoming, and dependent on the size of the person, the weight of the person, the physiology of the person, everybody's different, and alcohol affects people's heads, brains, and bodies physiologically different. So it was really interesting to see.
You can also expect a temporary driving ban, 1 month for the first offence, 3 months for every offence after that. That's the minimum you can expect. If you cause an accident, the consequences will be much more severe. If you're caught with a blood alcohol concentration of 1.1 per mil or more, you can be prosecuted and may face a jail term of up to 1 year and other consequences as well.
Good.
These all apply even if you're not driving a vehicle that requires a license. For example, if you are caught riding a bicycle under the influence, your driving license can be suspended or even revoked.
Whoa.
Luckily, most of Germany has a fairly decent public transport system, but just remember that transport companies will usually have house rules saying that they can refuse to take you if you're obnoxiously drunk. On the subject of getting obnoxiously drunk, that's usually frowned upon in Germany anyhow. Drinking alcohol is fine and a great way to socialise. Losing the power of speech is definitely uncool.
Yeah, honestly, there's nothing worse and nothing more sad than just an obnoxiously drunk person. Let's be straight. It's just, yeah, like especially to a sober mind and just observing like incredibly drunk people, it's just sad, right? Like it's just sad. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's sad. So I think just drinking culture in Germany is a lot more reasonable and people have a much better handle on drinking. I don't know how substance abuse statistics are in Germany with alcohol, but I think it's pretty bad. It can be pretty bad for sure in North America. People drinking way too much and becoming alcoholics, and alcoholism is no joke, that's for sure.
At least in general. Of course, not all Germans are the same, and during Carnival there is a greater tolerance for drunkenness. But still, if you prefer to play it safe and switch to soft drinks before your legs take on a life of their own, that's fine, everybody will understand. So you don't need to feel pressured into drinking more than you really want to. One last thing. When clinking glasses with somebody, always remember to look them directly in the eye. The penalty for not doing so is 7 years
of bad sex. Even I knew that one. Yeah. Good video. What was I going to say about alcohol? Not 7 years of bad sex. Alcohol. Yeah, it just seems like Germany, the drinking culture is a lot more refined. Pretty much. Refined. Reasonable. Alcohol can be a detriment, but just like many other substances, smoking is really bad, right? Really bad. It's proven. It's horrible. Like for the human body and health outcomes, like it's really, really bad. And so is alcohol. But in moderation, it's generally not that bad. It's pretty fine. It's all about having that moderation. We all need a little bit of moderation. And we all need a bit of sensibility around these things. But yeah, I think the drinking culture can get a little wild here, and I'm sure it does too in Germany. Let's not beat around the bush. Hey, I'm sure there's some wicked ass parties, clubs, and people are getting wasted. I'm sure in in Germany as well, and it's an issue there too. But maybe not to the degree and not in the same specific way that it is here. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I've had times where they would call it the Macy show, because I would be, and I was always everything I've been told is when I have a few too many drinks, I'm happy-go-lucky and just still 100% there and having fun, and people, I'm not like, there's that saying, like, are you a mean drunk, right? If somebody's a mean drunk, like they can get mean-spirited and do things that are just, they can get physically violent, they can get verbally abusive. But yeah, I'm like the opposite. And yeah, the Macy show, it'd be happening, and people would, but you can also feel embarrassment like the next day sometimes, when you might not exactly remember what happened or what somebody's referring to. And that's when I was like, yeah, I think I'll stop drinking so much and start just enjoying clarity. Enjoying clarity and meaning, you know. So, yeah, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And I had a few other thoughts floating around in my brain compartments and brain departments, but the departments and compartments must have got mixed up because I forget. All right. Cheers.